Okay, I am here for trial number 3, trying to get this video produced so I can submit my homework. Trial 1, I was sitting at the state capitol of California, and then all of a sudden color guards showed up and started playing with big drums and bagpipes. They stopped, started over. I was at 10 minutes at that point. And then all of a sudden, they started up again when I started number 2. So I'm like, I just gotta leave. So I'm heading back towards my work area. And right now, that's what I'm saying. So I am between a building and an alleyway. And so if you hear some noises, I do apologize. But this weekend's gonna be crazy, so I needed to upload this now during my break. Anyhow, my name is Jeff Cockrell. I am very excited to be in this class. Thank you, Professor. I'm very excited to be at North Central University as well, and I'm also very excited that I've just recently started my practicum. This midlife crisis of mine is coming to fruition, and I'm quite excited. I wish I would have realized my life's dream back when I was younger, but sometimes it takes a while for you to understand what your body and your mind and your heart's telling you, I guess. So anyhow, thank you. So let me get to the questions at hand. Sorry, I had this all laid out at the other place, but now that I have to move, I have to improvise. Question number 1 you wanted to ask was the description of the societal perceptions and responses of family violence that you identified reviewing the readings. Well, the societal perceptions and responses of family violence is not enough, in my opinion. It's sad that organizations, and this will be on my bio, the National Network to End Domestic Violence started or was founded about 25 years ago, slightly more. Why is that a thing? Why was it not founded 50, 75, 100 years ago? It's because the societal idea is that women, children, the people that mostly suffer due to domestic violence and sexual abuse and things like that, is because there was no value on their life. A woman's just a woman. A child is just a child until they grow up and is able to be productive in society. And we all know this is not true. There's a deep inherent idea that that's wrong. And, that's my belief. I don't have research for that one. But what I do know is that when I was watching the video for this week, and that lady comes into the crisis shelter for herself, and she starts making excuses for her busy husband, and it was just one punch. I didn't have the dinner on the table. I was infuriated. I know this is going to be a thing for me to work on when I'm seeing clients. Thank goodness I'm not seeing any of domestic violence right now, just because it's going to take me a little bit to get used to it. But I was furious. I'm like, what kind of man punches a woman because dinner is a little late on the table? I'm serious. But then I have to start thinking it's because there wasn't, man was a man, and he's the king of the castle, and that's basically what society has put on them. It's not of value. In fact, our current book of the readings, they talk about how people of today don't put that much emphasis on domestic violence. It's okay if there's a little punching here and there. A woman might need it, or the child might need the spanking, which is BS. But it's a society, it's a culture that is hopefully being eradicated out, honestly. It's just something that needs to be gradually changed. I wish it would go faster. Description of my personal perceptions of family violence along with the origins of these perceptions. Well, I'm a large guy, 6'4". I was 6 feet in 6th grade, 200 pounds. I've always looked menacing. Never had to worry about walking down the street or anything like that. But yet I'm able to control my temper. I was raised to respect everyone, man, woman, child, white, black, Hispanic, purple, green, whatever. It's what's in their heart, what's in their mind that matters. If there's a mistake, you just work with it and go on. You can't change that. In my family, there's been intense things. I don't know of any violence per se. I don't know of any sexual abuse offhand. Nothing, but I know plenty of friends and family that did, and how it's affected them. But the perceptions is just okay. It was just Uncle so and so doing this, or Grandpa what, doing that, and it's okay, that's how they were raised, and that perception is what was damning. But hopefully, as I said, that's leaving. Hopefully that's leaving. It's a tough subject for me. And before I get to question number 3, it's a tough subject because I want to help people, and I would love to be out of a job one day, where everyone's just mentally fine, everyone's not facing domestic violence or child abuse. But how do you deal with that? How do you sit there in front of, let's say, a couple where she has a black eye because, once again from the video, she didn't have dinner on the table. Like, how do you just not dare into that person? How do you not stare right at that man and just say, what kind of guy are you? Why can't you control your emotions? Sorry, that's my paper flying over. And so, sorry, it's a little difficult for me to talk about this one. Anyhow, going on, my thoughts on the code of ethics will guide my responses to cases involving violence. Well, as I said, I'm a man of my word. I'm going to follow the code of ethics. Specifically, let's talking about number 1.1. I gotta open up my book because I have it right here. Non-discrimination. This is number 1.1, non-discrimination. Marriage and family therapists provide professional assistance to persons without discrimination. ... The last part is gender identity or relationship status. If you are in an abusive relationship, either man-woman, woman-man, child-parent, whatever, that is a relationship status in my opinion and how I am thinking of the code of ethics. This would mean that I need to help them the best I can, and I have to stay true to my training, to my education, that I'm not going to tell them what to do. I'm going to lead them to the right choice, what works for them, and that right choice is either stay together, get away, find help, continue with counseling. Anything can be made better with work, determination, but I still have to get over that. And then I would like to point out MFT 3.1 and 3.2, which I think are very crucial because this has to do with assault. And from the education training I've had is that if it's between two consenting adults, I don't want to say consenting, if they're two adults, there's no call for me to call the authorities. If there is a child involved, or if there's an elderly person involved, someone that cannot call themselves for their own help, disabled, whatnot, then I do have a duty to report this. So professional competency 3.1, 3.2, maintenance of competency. I need to know the laws of my area. I need to know the laws of the United States. What am I required to do? And then the knowledge of the regulatory standards as well. These fall together. I need to stay up on it. What if a law in California here is passed where all of a sudden now if you're able to report domestic violence if it's even if it's two adults? It's something that I need to stay aware of, and I need to stay on track. Also, but that goes beyond the legal ramifications. I also need to understand how to treat these two. What if there's new evidence, or what if there's a new form of therapy that comes out that is proving to help a couple like this? So it's important for me to stay on top of things. But I would also like to point out that since I am in California, I'm a member of CAMF. I hate that. I think we should say it out. California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists. We want to talk about 4.1. And I spoke about this earlier. And I don't have it right in front of me. So we'll just talk about it. But it's CAMP 4.1. It has to do with culture. In our readings, we were talking, it was mentioned to us that in many cultures, it's okay to attack children, women. In this culture, in my opinion, it's not, but it's something we have to understand. I'm a firm believer in what you are is where you were when, so how you were raised, what did you grow up with is how you're treating, your now, yourself now. And so if you grew up thinking it was okay to treat women as property, that you can beat them, then it's, so I'll use this word, understandable that you're bringing that into the now. What we need to do is work on that culture. and we do need to change it. Now, I'm not wanting to go down the deep-seated results, but I do need to think that any culture needs to start changing to a point where they value each and every person, regardless of age, sex, race, gender, all the other ones. Sorry, offhand. So, anyhow, that's my video. If you have any questions, feel free to look my information up, and I look forward to week 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, not 11, because that's usually the biggest, and then 12. Have a great day. Bye.